Greetings and salutations. My name is OJ as always, and welcome back to another episode of the Overwatch-a-thon, a series of videos where I go over every single character in, Overwatch. I'll be covering their lore and personality, their gameplay and abilities, as well as their design and cosmetics. With all of that preamble done and dusted, our object of obsession for today is the Omnic Monk himself, Zenyatta. Now, as I like to do in every single one of these videos thus far, I'd like to start by talking about Zenyatta's lore, backstory, history, whichever fancy word you wish to use for it. And his lore is an interesting thing because before the Omnic Crisis, we know literally next to nothing about Zenyatta. We know that he was constructed before it, however, we have absolutely no clue what he was doing before the Omnic Crisis, or before the Awakening, which of course, if some of you should know that the Awakening is the event where all Omnics gained sentience after the sacrifice of Aurora. He has a few, I'm sure you've heard the dialogue line where people ask him what he did before the crisis. Some of his responses are serving coffee, collecting payments at a laser tag arena, and acting as a water park lifeguard and a tractor driver. However, we don't know if any of those are true because he refuses to tell anyone if they're true. Not even Ramattra knows if they're true. And he also has stated at some point that his memories before the Awakening are blurry, to say the least. So yeah, before the Omnic Crisis, we know nothing really about Zenyatta. However, after the Crisis, we know that Zenyatta's story technically starts with his recruitment into the Shambali by Ramattra, who had hoped that Zenyatta could find purpose with the Shambali as he had. Now, as a quick side note for those unaware, the Shambali are a group of Omnic monks who are seeking peaceful harmony with humanity. After the Omnic Crisis, tensions between Omnics and humans obviously rose quite drastically, and the idea of the Shambali is to kind of communicate with humanity and resolve things for a peaceful measure, if that makes sense. But continuing forward with Zenyatta's story specifically, both he and Ramattra became close as brothers, and spent years discussing the problems facing Omnics, including the injustices committed by humans. The both of them sat up at night counting stars, wondering how many Omnics were doing the same. And at some point, rather mysteriously, and I can't find actually any further information on this, Ramattra committed an action that nearly resulted in Zenyatta's death. Unfortunately, said action is never really expanded or explored any further than that, which is really upsetting because that is a very interesting key point for their relationship, or their brothership, whatever you wish to call it. So I don't know, that's kind of weird that that's not expanded upon any further. But still, continuing forward, 4 years before the King's Row uprising, Ramattra decided to leave the Shambali and began to approach his convictions from a more pragmatic angle, justifying any means necessary to defend his fellow Omnics. He did attempt to convince Zenyatta to join him, but Zenyatta refused, and on the day of his departure, he conversed with Vendetta and Zenyatta respectively. While his fellow monks were sad to see him go, Ramattra told them that he no longer believed that the answers for Omnic salvation could be found inside the monastery. Vendetta remained committed to his peaceful approach to humanity, but Ramattra feared that humanity had no interest in sharing their world. He asked Zenyatta one last time as to whether he had reconsidered his decision to stay, but Zenyatta remained committed to the Shambali. Ramattra told him they would meet again and promptly left. After his departure, Vendetta told Zenyatta that Ramattra leaving Shambali could be the step the monks needed in order to achieve coexistence with humanity. Zenyatta was uneasy at the prospect of Vendetta leaving the Shambali monastery, fearing that humanity would not heed his message, and Vendetta told Zenyatta he was willing to take the risk. Unfortunately, that risk didn't turn out particularly well for him specifically. And at some point after Ramattra had founded Null Sector, he and Zenyatta ceased all contact to one another. Sometime after the fall of Overwatch, whilst still with the Shambali, Zenyatta encountered Genji Shimada, who had left Overwatch and was conflicted with his nature as a cyborg. Though Genji initially rejected Zenyatta's wisdom, the benevolent Omnic would not be deterred. In time, Zenyatta became his mentor, and under the monk's tutelage, Genji reconciled his dual existence as both man and machine, as Zenyatta helped his students see both his trials and his cybernetic form as a unique strength. Zenyatta would later consider Genji to be one of his brightest pupils, and after Genji left his tutelage, Zenyatta began to see the limits of the Shambali path. He believed that the way to repair the problems between humans and Omnics was not through dogmatic teaching, but through interpersonal connection and engagement. Ultimately, he chose to follow his own path. He left the monastery and wandered the world, helping those he meets to overcome their personal struggles and find inner peace. At some point during his travels, he was on a pilgrimage in Suravasa, intending to reflect on Mandata's teachings when the Vishkar Corporation's groundbreaking caused a tremor that destroyed the statue of Aurora in the temple. Later, inside the temple, he met with the Vishkar agent known as Satya Vaswani, also known as Symmetra, who'd come on Vishkar's behalf. Zenyatta told her that it was good that Vishkar was taking responsibility for the damage they'd caused, but it would mean nothing if the help they provided wasn't constructive. He offered her lodging at the temple so that she may better understand the community and the temple's faith. She agreed to stay, and he guided her through the temple, also informing her of Aurora's history. The next morning, Zenyatta greeted Vaswani, noting that she had put on a temple robe. She stated that while she had not come as a pilgrim, she was sincere in her efforts to provide recompense, an intention that Zenyatta had never doubted. Days passed before Zenyatta gave her the Orb of Perception and told her to study it. On the fourth day, she watched Zenyatta and the other Omnic priests prepare food for anyone in the village who was hungry. Noting the angry whispers directed at Vaswani, he served her food himself as a gesture of silent support. Later in the evening, after meditation on one of the orbs had finished, Zenyatta asked Vaswani to stay behind, asking her for her thoughts on the day's events. The conversation between the two of them turned to her role as a hard-light architect, and at the end of their conversation, Vaswani stated that she now knew what she had to do. A week after Vaswani's arrival, she and Zenyatta walked into the temple's courtyard where they met with Sarpanch Ranesh Grewal, along with a crowd of priests, pilgrims, villagers, and Vishkar personnel. She revealed that she had used hard light to fix the shrine of Aurora, giving it a new luminescence. After the event, she met with Zenyatta outside, who gave her incense as a parting gift, telling her that she was always welcome. Sometime after this meeting with Vaswani in Suravasa, Null Sector launched their global invasion. Alongside Vaswani and Niran Pruksamani, aka Lifeweaver, he aided Omnics in and around Nepal. That wasn't to last, however, as one day whilst in meditation, he was approached by a Talon strike team, led by Talon agents Sombra and Widowmaker, where he was abruptly abducted and brought into Talon's custody. The reason for his abduction was due to Ramattra contacting Talon, requesting that they bring Zenyatta to him in King's Row, in front of the statue of Mandata. Sombra and Widowmaker escorted him into the neighborhood, where he met with Ramattra beneath the statue. Ramattra ordered the Talon agents to leave, which they did. Zenyatta commented on the irony that they were meeting at the site where their former master had been assassinated. Ramattra told him that despite his disagreements with Mandata, he had mourned his former master's death, all the same. Ramattra and Zenyatta discussed their differing approaches to coexistence with humanity, and neither of them had shifted in the slightest. Zenyatta urged his brother to practice compassion, to see those who stood with Omnics, but Ramattra stated that he could not stand by while Omnics suffered at humanity's hands. Zenyatta pointed out that Null Sector's invasion had costed millions of human lives, but Ramattra retorted that such suffering was but a fraction of what humanity had inflicted against the Omnics. The subject quickly shifted to the Omnics Null Sector had quote-unquote saved, namely by abducting them and fitting them with neural suppressors. Zenyatta had seen these lost souls, beholding them as lifeless husks. Ramattra stated that he had found a way to preserve their people, to save them. Zenyatta stated it was difficult to pin his hopes on a superstition, and asked if Ramattra had truly saved any of his fellow Omnics. Ramattra responded that he had, and that he could have saved thousands more if not for the interference of Overwatch. Zenyatta pointed out that they'd saved many lives, both human and Omnic. Ramattra told Zenyatta that the initial stage of his plan was complete, but it would take some time to achieve the next step, and like he had the day he left Shambali, he asked Zenyatta to join him. Zenyatta was aware that history was repeating itself. He told Ramattra that even if he believed everything he had said, he could not ignore the fact that Ramattra was working with Talon, the same organization that had killed Mandata. Ramattra conceded the point, and admitted that he had found Talon to be a less than ideal ally. Caught up in greed and infighting, he feared that Talon's problems would soon become the world's problems. Zenyatta told him this was caused to make peace with humanity, but Ramattra refused. He stated that he would keep Zenyatta and all their fellow Omnics safe until humanity rendered itself extinct, after which Omnics would claim their planet as their own, reborn. Zenyatta refused. He would abandon neither Omnics nor humanity. There was still good in this world, and he would fight for it. Ramattra saw that Zenyatta would not be swayed. He told his old friend that he was glad his spirit had not dimmed, even if their views were opposite. He hoped that one day, Zenyatta would understand the choices he'd made, and that they would meet again. He left Zenyatta to his own devices, telling him that he carried his dream of peace wherever he went. Zenyatta quietly commented that so did he, even if his means of achieving it differed. And that is where, for the meantime, Zenyatta's story ends. I cannot express how highly I think of Zenyatta as a character, mostly due to my love for Ramattra. I'm sure if any of you have watched any of my previous videos, you will know that I'm not shy of saying that Ramattra is my favourite character in the entire game. And I must admit that Zenyatta, before Ramattra's inclusion, was also one of my favourites. And that's still, I say that, but it hasn't changed. I still do find Zenyatta incredibly interesting, and I do find him just a perfect kind of, as you've probably noticed from the title of the video, the thumbnail, etc. I titled it an excellent side of a coin, something like that, like two sides of the coin sort of thing. And that is my point. Zenyatta is the other half of Ramattra's coin and vice versa. They play off of each other very, very well and have a lovely chemistry that just allows for just interesting discussions between the two of them. Ramattra obviously is someone who believes that, well, the Omnics deserve sort of a rebellion. They deserve some sort of comeuppance to free themselves from the chains that humanity has a hold of them through any means necessary, including lethal force, which Ramattra has demonstrated with his invasion across the world, and the Null Sector sort of uprising in, well, King's Row. But Zenyatta is the complete opposite. He is someone that believes that humanity can be kind of coincided with, you know, peace, with communication, personal relations. And of course, as I've obviously just stated over the last 10 minutes, he has at multiple times communicated with other members of Overwatch and allowed them to see the sort of better sides of themselves through Genji and Symmetra respectively. And I wouldn't be surprised if he had a conversation with Lifeweaver as well, which to just try and, I don't know, make him feel better about his situation and such. But it's Zenyatta is so interesting because he just plays off of the characters he's paired up with so well. Genji is someone who obviously struggles a lot with his existence as a cyborg. Symmetra is someone who struggles with her existence as a member of the Vishkar Corporation. Ramattra struggles with his existence as an Omnic and seeing the world as the way it is. And Zenyatta plays off of all of them very well because he always sees the best in people. He always tries to see the best in everything he does and anyone he meets. And it allows for these interesting discussions of ideals and beliefs, especially when it comes to Ramattra. I think that obviously that last long bit of lore that I just discussed comes from the comic Reconciliation that is actually available in-game. You can actually go to the story tab now and listen to the sort of audiobook of it, in a sense. And I just think the comic is fantastic. Not only does it follow up on the story where the Overwatch 2 PvE missions where they last left off, which is something I've been desperately waiting for, but it obviously lets us see Ramattra and Zenyatta kind of reconcile, per the name of it. And I think this is a thing that's been long overdue in the lore, per se. I do wish this was actually a cinematic, in the same vein as, the ones that we saw in the PvE missions, instead of a comic. However, I will literally take anything I can. I think the comic's art is absolutely wonderful. It looks gorgeous in some shots, especially when it shows, Ramattra with the Omnics behind his head. But, it's interesting to see their ideals and beliefs and how they go back and forth. And as someone who is obviously a fan of Ramattra and does see what he means in a lot of the things he says, there is also something to be said that I do see what Zenyatta means. I think that Zenyatta's approach is noble, however, I do believe that he is kind of not doing enough, per se. If there was, hundreds of Zenyattas, maybe the world could achieve some form of peace. But to my understanding, Zenyatta is one of the very few Omnics who wants to do this sort of personal connection business in the terms of what he did with Genji and Symmetra. Most of the Omnics believe in, well, obviously the Shambali and their teachings, and there is some merit to the Shambali and their teachings, but I kind of think that Zenyatta's approach is better and a more achievable thing if they are wishing for peace between themselves and humanity. But again, as I said, I'm a fan of Ramattra, and I see also an equal amount of reasoning behind his actions. Maybe not all of them, but Ramattra is an interesting character who I'll obviously delve much more into in his own video, but he's someone who's almost like sabotaged by the writers. He is a character who, by all accounts, was in the right up until the sudden revelation in his comic that he wanted to subjugate all Omnics and take away all of their freedoms. Like, that goes completely counteracts like everything he stands for and everything he was standing for beforehand. And it's just like, that kind of character assassination, in a sense, really hurts. Like, I love the Reconciliation comic, but there is just a part of me at the back of my head that's like just really frustrated that they've just kind of moved to this subjugation thing with him, where he's putting like the neural suppressors on Omnics and turning them into lifeless husks. Like, that's not Ramattra. I don't care if he had a comic. Like, I read his short story, right? And they do try to explain why he would turn to that fact, but it's like, it doesn't make sense for him. It feels like a character assassination, even with that short story. But either way, still speaking of Zenyatta, I do think he is a very interesting character. I don't think we ever really need to know what he was doing before the Omnic Crisis. I feel like leaving that as a kind of blur is fine, because I doubt he was doing much interesting before the Omnic Crisis. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the things he said, such as like working as a tractor driver, etc., was probably true, and it doesn't need to be explained, because everything post-Crisis with him and Ramattra and the Shambali, his interactions with Genji and Symmetra, it all just is far more interesting. And I would love for him to meet other characters who may be struggling with their existences just as a whole. Like someone like Juno, I think would probably receive a lot of insight from Zenyatta, because he would be able to kind of communicate with her and help her understand her role on Earth as someone from, well, Mars. I know, he's a very interesting character, and just, it's him and Ramattra, right? Like, I feel like you can't have one without the other, and the fact that we went so many years without Ramattra in Zenyatta's kind of story, well, actually, I say that, but for the longest time, everyone joked that Zenyatta just didn't have any lore, and Ramattra came along and now he has, you know, like, all of this lore. So, I suppose now he actually is relevant, I suppose. Yeah, I remember like back in Overwatch 1, people joke, look, Zenyatta's got no lore. And now Overwatch 2 is out, Ramattra is out, we have way much more lore for him. So yeah, I'm very fond of him. I feel like you can't like Ramattra without liking Zenyatta, as they are one in the same. Per the title of the video and the thumbnail, they are two sides of a coin, and both very excellent sides of said coin. But with all of that done and dusted and said, blah blah blah, I would like to now move on to talking about his gameplay and abilities. Please do keep in mind for this section I use OBS to record my gameplay and audio simultaneously, so if I sound slightly different I do apologise in advance. But with all of that said, let us now talk about Zenyatta's gameplay and abilities. Right, so here we are in the ever so lovely and ever so helpful training range to talk about Zenyatta's gameplay. Now, I'm going to get the elephant out of the room immediately before we talk about any bits and pieces of his kit. Zenyatta's really ass right now. Actually, he's the worst support in the game. Like, right now, as of me recording this video, he is the worst support in the game. At least in my opinion. I mean, the only characters even going like blow for blow on the worst of the worst is like Juno, but I mean, even Juno has some merit. Like, right, just for reference, as of me recording this video, we are in the middle of a sort of diving apocalypse, shall we say? Tracer is really good right now, Genji is really good right now, Venture is really good right now, Hazard is really good right now, Wrecking Ball is also really good right now, and they all absolutely destroy everything Zenyatta wants to do. I'm going to get to the elephant again. Zenyatta has no movement tools at all. He is a very squishy hero. Shields, most of his health is made up of shit, but like 250 looks nice, right? That's more than most supports. Nah, he's really squishy. He's got like no sort of movement tools whatsoever, unfortunately, and as a result, he can get dove very badly. But of course, I'll mention that more as we go along. Let's first discuss his specific passive, that being the snap kick. Your quick melee has its damage increased by 50%, and its knockback is significantly increased. And it does 60 damage and has a knockback of 16.8 meters. This was added with Overwatch 2 to give him some sort of like, what would you call it, defensive measure against sort of divers, obviously, because those are what he's weak to. So when you melee, you'll now knock people back, and obviously the quick melee does a lot more damage than, you know, other characters' normal melees. Unfortunately, this isn't really enough, because obviously to, you know, be in melee range, you have to be pretty damn close, all things considered. Like, this is very close, and unfortunately for, you know, Zenyatta, if we take a quick gander at those characters I mentioned earlier, Genji doesn't actually have to be that damn close. Tracer doesn't have to be that damn close. Who else did I mention? Venture doesn't really have to be that damn close, outside of Drill Dash. Hammond's a tank, so the knockback doesn't do shit, really. And Hazard's also a tank, so the knockback doesn't do shit. So they gave him a tool to defend himself from, you know, divers, and it just doesn't really work. If anything, they just gave him another offensive tool, which is what he really does not need. And speaking of offensive tools, we do have his primary weapon, known as the Orbs of Destruction. You have two ways of shooting it, a normal sort of projectile fire, like kind of, it's like semi-automatic, I suppose. You just kind of shoot the orbs, but you also have a right click or a secondary fire where you charge up to 5 orbs and then release them all at once to do, you know, said amount of damage at once. It does 50 damage per shot, and I must note, you do get the 2 times damage bonus on crit hits. Some characters get like a halved version, like they get, it's called like less critical or something like that. And the secondary fire also does 50 damage per shot, and it takes 2 seconds to fully charge the whole volley. This is kind of like, we call it Zenyatta's, what's the word I use? Utility? That's the word I use? Yeah. This is like one of Zenyatta's form of utility, in that he has probably the highest DPS of any support in the game. Like, his fire rate on his orbs is very quick, and, well, if you hit your crits, it's 100 damage per shot, which is very high, mind you. And of course, if you manage to charge up all 5 orbs and land them all, what is that? So it's 5 shots, so that's 500 damage if you hit all crits. But that's the thing, you need to hit crits for his, I mean, his damage is still pretty impressive on its own, like, so if you hit body shots with all 5 orbs, that's 250 damage. That will kill, like, what, basically the entire, that's basically the entire DPS cast outside of, like, what, Mei and Bastion, I think? Maybe Venture if they have their overshields and stuff. Yeah, I think that's, like the 250 damage is basically the whole cast. But this is a projectile, so you have to, you know, you actually have to hit all 5 of them for that. And the weird thing about Zenyatta's projectiles is that they're really fast, like, they're kind of like pseudo hit scan. Like, they are very fast, but they're kind of a weird point where, this might just be me shit talking, but this might be just personal experience, right? But they're kind of, because they're projectiles, they kind of take like half a second to actually hit their target. Like, if it was a hit scan, I click my mouse and immediately it would hit it, but there's like this 0.3, 0.4 second travel time that really throws me off for some reason, because due to it being a projectile, I'll try and like aim ahead of where someone will move, but because the projectiles are so damn fast, they'll miss. This might just be me being bad at the character, but sometimes I just like miss my shots because the projectile speed is like really fast, but it's still projectile. So it's like, I know you can't just make him hit scan because then suddenly he's like the best DPS in the whole game, but I don't know. Something about his projectile speed really just throws me off. But if if you manage to hit your crits, Zen can have some of the best DPS in the whole game. He can actually outclass most DPSs, really, in terms of raw damage. And interestingly, can actually like one-shot or damn near one-shot some tanks if you hit, the full charge-up headshots. Because remember, it's 100 per shot, which is, 500 damage in total. So say, let's bring up Roadhog, right? He's always just, fat target, big head hitbox. If I just charge up all 5 of my orbs, that's half of his health. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Obviously, a lot of the tanks do have armor, so they take less damage from, weapon damage, but still, that's not bad damage, all things considered, for, who we're talking about support here. Like, that's really good damage. Like, just being able to do this. And by the way, this is all good damage without even acknowledging his strongest ability, which is the Orb of Discord. This is by far his strongest ability. There's no contest here. I'm going to be so honest with you. This is like... like how Mercy is basically just a useless character, all things considered, but she has damage boost, which keeps her alive and keeps her, like relevant in the meta. This is the same thing. Zen is, by all accounts, a rather shit character, all things considered, especially right now, as I mentioned, because divers are really strong right now. But man, Discord's value is so high that he kind of just scrapes by just barely. You launch an orb at an enemy that increases the damage that they take. The increased amount of damage they take is 25%. The line of sight loss duration is 1.5 seconds. So if the enemy you Discord is out of your line of sight for 1.5 seconds, the Discord orb will come off of them. It has a range of 40 meters, and there is a cooldown per target of 6 seconds. So to show what that looks like, if I apply it to this target and then apply it to another, you are unable to apply it to the original target for 6 seconds. Now, when the orb is on, it's self-explanatory, right? You deal increased damage. So, pardon me again, as you just saw there, I two-shotted him with 2 headshots, and with the other bot, it takes 3 shots. As you saw, sure, yeah, words are really easy for me to say, trust. As you can see here, I did half of Roadhog's health with a full charged up volley. Now, if I apply Discord to him, and then do the exact same volley, I damn near kill the fat bastard. So, yeah, this is the only thing that Zenyatta has to his name. I'm actually going to be so honest with you. The ability to make an enemy take 25% more damage from all sources, doesn't matter what, is very, very good. It's very potent. Just like Mercy, being able to give a ally 30% increased damage is a really big deal. However, I would argue that Discord is much better because obviously it's a enemy applicated ability, so anyone can benefit from it. Like, that's the thing with Mercy. When you give a damage boost to someone, it's just to that one person, unless you, of course, have the perk where it changes to 2 people. So, say, for example, there's an Ashe on your team. If you damage boost the Ashe, yeah, she's getting 30% damage, but your Cass, your other DPS, isn't getting the damage boost. Your tank isn't getting the other damage boost. Whereas with Zen, you can Discord a target, point out that target to the whole team, and now both DPSs will be dealing 25% more damage to them. Your tank will deal 25% more damage to them. Like, Zen is very good at, of course, Zen himself will be doing 25% more damage, which is very potent because obviously, as I mentioned, Zen's own damage is very good. So he excels at just being able to, like, point out a target and just getting them out of the fight immediately. Like, Zen is really good on paper, but again, in practice, he really struggles. Like, he's very squishy. He has no movement tools, really. His way of defending himself through snap kick is just not enough. But Discord is just so good. Like, if you never deal with the Zen, that's the thing, right? If Zenyatta is allowed to roam free, and he's just allowed to put Discord after Discord on people and take them out one by one, yeah, he will be a problem. But the thing is, the second you actually pay attention to him and you just kill him, he can't do anything. He literally can't do anything. And the thing is with him, due to him being, quite squishy and quite easy to hit, he can't really go like blow for blow with like DPSs. Like even like hit scans like Ashe, Cass, Soldier, they can really ruin his day. I don't know if it's just me, but Zen has a really easy to hit head. I don't know how to explain it, but he just has an easy head, like an easy head hitbox. Because it's just kind of right there. and the orbs surrounding his neck really kind of like highlight where his head is. So I don't know, it just feels quite easy to headshot him. Like if we pull up, I don't know, someone else in the roster, like we pull up Lucio, right? Lucio is kind of like hunched forward, like I don't know, his head is still noticeable, but it's not. You kind of get what I'm saying? Like, what's another good example? Like Kiriko, right? Her head is noticeable because of her, you know, like ponytail and such, but like she has a hand in front of her face. She kind of like blocks her own face with her own weapons just by holding it up, so it makes it harder to hit her head. I don't know if that's just me, right? I just feel like Zenyatta is a really easy headshot target. I just can't explain it. But still, continuing forth with his kit, unfortunately, it doesn't get much better, as we have the Orb of Harmony, which is, outside of his ultimate, his only form of healing. You launch an orb to an ally to heal them. You attach this to an ally, so for example, there's the tank there, I attach it to them, and the orb will attach to them and heal them over time. Unfortunately, the healing over time is 35 per second, which is pathetically low. The line of sight loss duration is 5 seconds, so if they are out of your line of sight for 5 seconds, the orb comes off of them, and it has a range of 40 meters. I don't really know what they're thinking. I don't know why his healing output has never been buffed. Wu Yang does the exact same thing. Like, his passive healing over time is unfortunately only 25 per second, right? However, he can increase the amount of healing to 50 per second, and he has other forms of healing through the Guardian Wave. He also has this perk, Balance, which allows you to increase the passive healing by 30%, which actually raises the passive healing to be higher than Zen's. And it's not hard to proc this, as you just need to deal damage with your water orbs, which you're going to be doing anyways when you're playing as Wu Yang. By all accounts, Wu Yang does what Zenyatta does, just twice as good. And I don't know why, never in the history of this game have they ever really given him something else. I'm not kidding. Zenyatta needs another way to heal people. Like, he needs some form of burst healing outside of his ult. Because, like, this is just nothing. He just doesn't heal. He is a support that straight up does not heal. I don't know how to explain it. I mentioned in Mercy's video that her healing can feel quite invisible. Like, the Mercy will be on the team. She'll have, like, 16k healing, but you'll never really feel the effects of it. Zenyatta is a character who you will not feel the effects of his healing, and he will have like 2k. He doesn't heal. He doesn't do any healing. I just swear, like, Orb of Harmony just doesn't do shit. Oh no, the ally's critical. Quick, I'll throw my Harmony Orb to them. But it just does such little healing that they die. You can't even help them. He is solely an offensive support. Like, this is actually, I'm not kidding. I don't know why he's not just like a DPS or some shit. It's just, the best comparison I can think of is like Ultron in Marvel Rivals. Like, Ultron in Marvel Rivals feels the exact same as Zenyatta. Your healing is pathetically low outside of your ultimate, and all you can really do is be an extra damage source. Like, Discord is a really, really strong ability, right? It's like the only thing holding him together. Like, if at any point in the game's future they nerf Discord in some way, shape, or form, like, again, they've already nerfed it a few times, Zenyatta's just gonna be dead. He's so, like, meta-dependent. If, like, say Genji, Tracer, Venture, etc. are all, like, super shit simultaneously, and Hammond has been gutted, and Hazard has gone gutted, now Zenyatta can be good. But the second, like, but even then, he got... I'm sure you saw it in, like, one of my gameplay. I got just absolutely destroyed by Freya. Freya just obliterates him. He can't do anything. Genuinely, I don't know what Zenyatta is meant to do. Like, Discord is a really, really strong ability, right? And if he's never touched in any way, shape, or form, he can, you know, win a game. But the thing is, people know how strong Discord is, right? Most relatively competent players, like even like silver players, can realize that Discord is a problem and it should be dealt with. So Zenyatta just gets jumped, and once you jump Zenyatta, you can't do shit. He can't. Like, Snap Kick is not enough. I know they added this with Overwatch 2 to kind of like help him a little, because he had all of these same problems in Overwatch 1, but Snap Kick's done nothing. All it's done is like make his DPS better again. Like, just being able to jump people and just like kind of weave in kicks in the middle of your combos with your orbs to just kind of like disrupt them. Like, the Snap Kick is never used offensively. you don't really get to, because they have to be so close to actually get value out of it. It's just, he feels pointless. Like, how he doesn't do any healing. Discord is really strong, but that's a very team-dependent ability. Both your own team actually capitalizing on it, and you not getting killed. So it's just like, I don't know, he feels like shit. And I will admit, his ultimate is probably the best part about him, but outside of Discord, like, these two are kind of both really good. You become invulnerable, you move faster, and you heal all nearby allies. The healing over time is 400 per second. You basically make everyone immortal for 6 seconds. Really, I don't, outside of, like, say your team gets antied, you basically make the entire team immortal for 6 seconds. And just, of course, to show what it looks like, if I pop my ult, I turn into a glowing radius, and look how quickly he just got healed up. That's like full in half a second. So his ult is good, right? It can, you know, prevent 6 seconds worth of damage. It can make you invulnerable to certain, like, ultimates. Like, he's kind of like, he's just like an alternative version of, like, Lucio in a weird way. Like, Lucio can drop the beat and make the entire team immune to, you know, like, ults. Like, for example, like, there's some differences, of course. Like, for example, if Lucio drops a beat, your whole team can survive a Diva Bomb from point blank range, right? Like, how much does Diva Bomb do? Yes, 1,000 damage, and he gives 750. So, okay, maybe not everyone can survive the Diva Bomb point blank, but they can survive it, right? If they're not, like, right next to it. And Zenyatta, if he was doing Transcendence, his team wouldn't survive the Diva Bomb because it's instant burst damage. But say something like, I don't know, any other ult in the game, like any, say Bob, throw Bob in there. Transcendence, no one dies. Genji pops Dragon Blade. Transcendence, no one dies. Hanzo, Dragon Strike. No one dies. Like, as long as it's not like instant kill burst damage, no one's gonna die when they're near the Transcendence. Of course, you do have to keep into mind that you can be antied by none other than Anna or by Junker Queen. So if your team gets antied, your ult becomes worthless. But at least you're invincible, I guess, for 6 seconds. I have a joke with one of my friends that whenever a Zen pops out ult, I always say least selfish Zen ult, because that's the thing. In my experience, Zen's ult is kind of just like a selfish thing. Like, you just pop it to live a bit longer, and if you manage to, you know, heal the team, woohoo, but it basically just lets you stay in the fight longer, and you usually get your ult quite quickly. I know it's got a 2,500 cost, which is, you know, kind of middling for support ultimates, but he does so much damage that usually you have it quite a lot, which, you know, is beneficial, but again, if you don't have the ult up, you can just be dove and killed, and there's not much you can do about it, unfortunately. So yeah, in terms of base kit, he just kind of sucks, especially right now. Like, right now, he just really sucks. It feels like every DPS just has some sort of tool to get rid of him, like, in some way, shape, or form. He struggles with flying characters because he has projectiles and not hit scan, so characters like Echo, Freya, and Farah are just very good against him, and unfortunately, he has no mobility at all, so he actually can't even get away from these characters. So, and he's susceptible to diving as well, and he's susceptible to hit scans because he usually can't out-duel them. It's just like, what can he do? Apply Discord to help your team get kills? Yeah, but what if the Genji just sneaks up on you and kills you? Like, then what? What is he meant to do? What are you meant to do? This could be a skill issue on my part, but genuinely, he has no uses right now. He doesn't even do any healing. If you want a personal opinion, I do believe they should buff Harmony's orb to like 50 health per something. Like, make it on par with Wu Yang's like charged up beam, right? I feel like that would be a fair trade-off, and I feel like he needs a movement ability. And speaking of, he does have a perk where you can activate double jump to hover in the air for 3 seconds. It just doesn't do shit. It makes you an easier target. Like, okay, speaking of his perks, the first one, Transcendent Condemnation, very good. You apply Discord to all enemies in the range of your Transcendence. That's very good, because now you're healing the entire team, and now all the enemies have Discord on them. That's very, very good. That makes your already quite good ult even better. But the other one, man... What? This is just shit. Oh, Zenyatta has movement now. Watch out, world. He can fly in the air, which makes him even more susceptible to hit scans. Genius plays, really. Really, really smart stuff. Like, this is awful. Most divers have very good movement. That's why they're so good against him. Oh no, I'm being chased by a Genji. Quick, let me float over here. Ha, I have escaped you. And then Genji just double jumps the distance over. Tracer blinks over. Venture drill dashes over. Hazard jumps over. Hammond. I don't need to tell you that Hammond could probably make a gap like this. This is worthless. This is so bad. This is such a bad perk. Like, why would you... I genuinely have no... I'm baffled that they thought this is an okay perk. I'm actually lost for words. That, like, what they were thinking. And it doesn't really get much better when we get to his majors. Secondary fire charges 20% faster and can store an extra orb of destruction. Yay, more DPS! Woo! Let's give the character who already has a lot of good DPS more. Woo! Can't see it. I'm throwing my arms in the air in excitement. Like, okay, now he does 300 damage with his orbs of destruction if they all hit crit. Or if they all hit, and if they all hit crit, they're 600 damage. And now the charge time is 1 second instead of 2.6, which is, you know, that's a decent change, but it's just not enough. It just doesn't, it's not good enough. And the second one is actually a throw pick. I'm not joking. Dual Harmony is a throw pick. You gain a second Harmony orb, but they both heal for 70% effectiveness. Like 2 Harmony orbs, right? That sounds great. Woo! I can do 35 healing per second across all allies. But now you have 2 of them. They deal 70% less, or 70% of 35. They're doing what? 28% healing? 27%? Or 27 health per second? That's awful! That's almost as bad as Wu Yang's default restorative stream. But again, what does Wu Yang have, guys? Good DPS, good movement, another way to heal allies and forms of utility, and a decent, base. Wu Yang is just a better Zen. Like, the only thing Wu Yang doesn't have is the Team Protector, because his ult is single target. Genuinely. What? I don't... He just... This perk is so shit. This is really bad. Oh, my orbs now deal like 27 healing per second, but there's 2 of you that can have it. Okay, I get tickled by healing. Or 2 people can be tickled by healing. Huh? I'm sorry. The Zen needs like a whole ass rework or some bullshit. This is just terrible. Like, look at this healing. There's nothing. There's barely anything. Remember, guys, DPS characters have a passive. Please do tell. What's that passive again? Oh yeah, they apply a minus 30% healing penalty to, normal, like other DPSs when they hit them, and a minus 15% healing penalty on tanks. So you're doing 27, say, let's eyeball 27 healing with your 2 orbs, but then the DPS shoots one of your allies once. Now your orbs are doing like 20 healing per second. He's just not good enough. He just isn't good enough. He's so pathetically weak in the healing department. And I don't think Discord is actually enough to make up for it this time. I actually don't. I really don't. It's just... He needs like whole ass rework or some bullshit. He's so bad and it upsets me. Because I think like... obviously the title... My videos are usually titled to one aspect of them in some way, shape or form. Like the titles of my videos are usually complementing their story, their gameplay, or their designs. Or they might be like, say for example, yesterday's video or 2 days ago I made the video on Wu Yang. And it was called a fun character hurt by Overwatch 2's monetization. So that is focusing on the fact that he is fun to play as and is hurt in the cosmetics department by the way that Overwatch 2 just gives skins out to any conventionally attractive Asian character. So, in Zenyatta's case, I say he's a perfect coin, but no, the really big flaw is that his gameplay's really shit. It's really bad. He's fun to play as, and if you like playing as him, more power to you, but man, he's really weak. He's really, really weak. It's actually absurd how weak he is. He severely needs a rework in some way, shape, or form. Make this, like, part of his passive or some, like, just give him a dash. Give him a dash. I know that seems like a kind of a boring way to solve his problems, but like genuinely give him a dash. Like if Lifeweaver, like Lifeweaver has a dash, right? And it heals him. That's pretty good. Hanzo got given a dash when Overwatch 2 came out, and that helps with the fact that he can be dove very easily. Now with the lunge, he can kind of, back up or something. But he also has wall climb, so he can escape to higher ground. But like, I don't know why Zen needs something. He needs something. He has no movement, like almost every other character. Like, Ana doesn't have any movement, but that's because she has the 3 best tools in the game. She's got Sleep Dart, Bite Grenade, Nano Boost. Sleep Dart is her prevention from people getting on top of her, and it's very good. It's very good prevention, because if you hit the Sleep Dart, it's basically a guaranteed kill most of the time. If you have your grenade up, of course, which usually you do, because, well, both of them have the same cooldown. And her DPS itself is also quite decent. Like Baptiste, who doesn't have, like, some form of mobility? It's actually just Zen. Like, Zen and Ana are the only two who have no form of mobility, but Ana's kind of, like, comeuppance for that is that she has the best ult in the game, or one of them, a very strong ability in Sleep Dart, which only gets better with Groggy, mind you, and Biotic Grenade, which is one of the strongest abilities, if not the strongest ability in the whole game. Zen has Discord, shit healing, and a half-decent ult. Or a pretty good ult, actually. It's so bad. It's genuinely, he needs movement. I know, like, every support we've gotten since Overwatch 2 came out has, like, really good movement. Like, Kiriko, obviously, get out of jail free card with the teleport. Ilari has her sort of knockback, but that's the thing. Ilari has, like, what I want Zen to have. Not only is it movement, but it knocks people off you. That one ability prevents her from being dove, like, completely. But it's still on a 7-set. Like, what? How would the meta change if Zen had a way to defend himself? Like, if everything was kept the exact same, say you didn't buff his healing at all, but you just gave him, like, some form of way to defend himself outside of the shitty snap kick, what would change? He'd go from bottom of the barrel to mid-tier? God forbid. Like, really, God forbid. I know he's one of those weird characters where if you buff him too much, he suddenly becomes the best thing in the world. Like, as much as I shit on Mercy, if they buffed her healing a little bit too much, she would become an absolute nightmare, because she has damage boost, and now she's actually able to keep the team alive. Zen is just, he's so frustrating. Good damage. Discord is very strong ability, but his healing is so shit outside of his ult, and his perks are really bad. Like, perks should make up for the flaws a character has, or enhance their strongest qualities. Like, for example, Irari has a perk which allows, or gives her, a form of burst healing, right? And that is something that she doesn't really have. She doesn't have, like, a team-wide burst heal. Most of her healing is consistent through her pylon and her ult fire, so that makes up for a weakness she has. Or, Outburst is also already a pretty good ability. Does decent damage. I mean, 25 is okay, right? Okay damage, knocks people back, and gives you some distance between yourself and them through knocking them back and giving you movement. But then you can get Sunburst, which makes it deal 70 damage, which then makes that do, in total, 95 damage, which is good. Now it's got good damage, and knocks enemies back, and gives you some distance between them because of the extra movement. Like, I just don't see why. Like, I feel like, let's compare Wu Yang, right? I've already compared Zenyatta and Wu Yang a lot. They have very weirdly similar kits. Wu Yang can kind of struggle, of course, with... Well, no, he doesn't really struggle. Wu Yang's just straight up really good. But his perks take something that, he's kind of... Like, the passive healing over time from Restorative Stream is relatively low, right? It's lower than Zen's healing. That's quite bad. So they gave him a perk that helps that. His DPS is quite good. So they gave him a perk that actually increases his DPS and makes it easier to proc balance, which makes his Restorative Stream better. Like, I just don't get it. Most characters have a perk that either enhances their strengths or kind of makes up for their flaws. Mercy, good example as well. Damage boost is also already a very good ability. Now make it linked to 2 targets. Great. She struggles with burst healing. Bang, they gave her an extra ability that gives her burst healing. But Zen just didn't get shit. He's got no movement, so we gave him one of the worst forms of movement in the game. His ult is already quite good, so we'll apply... Like, this is a good perk, right? This is only good perk. Like, his DPS is already good. Yeah, but... seriously, I feel like Zen is a curious case where we don't need to enhance his strengths. We really need to enhance his, weaknesses. And, he had a perk at some point where if you dealt damage to a disordered target, it would translate to healing for the ally you have your Harmony Orb on. That was a really good perk. Why the shit did they get rid of it? Why? I'm not kidding. He genuinely needs like some bullshit like 2 discords to be good. Like he's so frustrating. You're getting my point, right? I'm sure you understand what I mean by now. Like, he's just, every other character gets like perks that make up for a weakness in them or enhance a strength in them. But Zen just didn't really get that treatment. Like, they tried. It's clear that they tried, right? Oh, he's got bad movement, so we gave him this. Oh, his DPS is good, so we gave him this. But it's like, no, this is not the issues. Like, this is bad movement, right? He needs like a dash or something like, I think Idari's thing would have been like, you just take this ability and slap it on Zen. Perfect. Now he's like, he's not flawless, right? He can still be dove whenever that ability is down, but like that's how it should be. Like Wu Yang is susceptible to diving whenever Rushing Torrent isn't up. And that's how it should be. You shouldn't just be susceptible to diving 24/7. Like, it's so frustrating. He's so frustrating to play as. It's so frustrating to just think about him. But I think I got my issues with him out of my system, right? I really do like Zen. You do have to trust me on this, but man, he has just never been one of those characters I really enjoy playing as. And yes, I do have gold weapons on. I know. I own them. That's because he's a character that I really, really like. But yeah, it's just not fun to play as him, especially right now when divers are running amok. And the newest character that we got to look at, was it yesterday? She probably is going to be a bruiser fighter tank in some way, shape or form. I hope she's a tank. I really don't want her to be a DPS. But if she is a DPS, man, Zen's only going to get worse. Like, he's just going to struggle more because she's a melee character. She's going to be want to be up in his business and shit. So he's going to struggle even worse. But anyways, enough of me complaining about his kit. You understand my qualms with it. You understand the strengths of it. Discord good and Transcendence pretty good. Everything else, really damn shit. Oh, and his DPS is also good. You get his healing is just really shit. Anyways, enough of me complaining. Let's move on to another thing I have, positive things to say about. And that is his designs and his cosmetics. Now, how do I talk about Zen's base design, right? Because here's the thing, right? I am not educated on monk aesthetics, monk looks. I could not tell you anything really in depth about, specific references to, way monks dress, etc. Because, I mean, that is obviously what Zenyatta is. So what else do I really have to say besides robot monk? Like, his base design is robot monk. And it does sell that idea well, with like the trousers, like the large baggy trousers, the obviously like the sort of strip down the middle and the back with this sort of, I don't even know what this is. That's the thing, right? I don't know much about monk looks and monk clothing, so I don't have any, unique insights to share. All I can say is like Zen is robot monk. That was like that is the idea for him, and he is certainly a robot monk. I like the design. I like Zenyatta's design, right? He's an Omnic, I don't know. Zenyatta's design is kind of a weird one because like it's very recognizable, very easily recognizable. But if you actually just try to describe it, it's just robot monk. And that's it. The most unique and obviously the key part of him is the weird floating orbs. These are his signature thing. This is his like key part of his silhouette, the weird floating orbs. And I feel like I should mention this right now. I don't know where else I can really put it. I of course criticized Wu Yang and Kiriko for basically using magic. Yeah, by all accounts, Zenyatta is in that same camp. His powers are not really explained at all. He says to Sigma that his levitation is something to do with the iris, which again, I feel like, Zenyatta's shortcomings in terms of like how they explain his abilities also are a shortcoming of the story in general, and that mostly due to be like the iris itself. Like the iris is like a giant bundle of energy in some way, shape or form. We're not like in Overwatch's lore, they're not really sure what the iris is, but somehow it's given Zenyatta the ability to float off of the ground and heal people with magical balls and make enemies take more damage with magical balls. And these balls are just levitating around his neck at all time, and he's levitating at all times. And like Mercy says that she wants to know how his healing works, and he says like, "Oh, magic is just science we don't understand yet." It's like, okay, yeah, but what is the science? What is the science behind you floating off the ground and using healing for orbs? Like, it doesn't make sense, by all accounts. It just does not make sense. But it's not really, like, Zenyatta's fault. It's more the fault of them not explaining how the iris works and what it actually is, besides it being, like, a giant energy source. But, like, a giant energy source shouldn't allow people to float off the ground and stuff. But, yeah, anyways, getting off track. Zenyatta's base design from Overwatch 1 is good. You know, it's a very recognizable silhouette. But, again, it's just kind of like Robot Monk. I can't really say anything more than that, because, again, I'm not very educated or knowledgeable on, you know, monk clothing and monk aesthetics. And the same can really be said for his Overwatch 2 design. Admittedly, I do like it more. I always thought it was a bit odd for someone from, like, you know, the Shambali to have, like, very dirty trousers, all things considered. I know, obviously, they've been on pilgrimages and stuff like that, and, you know, they live in the Himalayan mountains? So, like, yeah, it's not too much to surprise that his clothes might be a bit dirty, but, like, these trousers got, like, holes in them and stuff, and literally dirt everywhere. I always thought that was a bit odd. A little bit. Maybe, I don't know. Kind of weird. Either way. Again, this is a sign of, you know, the whole thing I've mentioned before with some of the Overwatch 1 to 2 designs, where they just kind of clean up the characters a bit. Zen's I don't really mind for once. I like that he's now put on a shirt. He's wearing a crop top, kinda. I mean, he's showing his stuff. Like, he's wearing more clean clothing. I don't know. He's got a shirt on now. I don't know. Zenyatta's design is just so hard to talk about because it's just like Robot Monk. That's it. I'm not knowledgeable on, like, you know, like monk clothing, and I believe he has like a lot of Buddhist inspiration. I mean, obviously with his like 6-arm stuff during the ultimate, that's very indicative of some Buddhist gods, because a lot of the Buddhist gods have like multiple arms, right? Is it Shura? I think Shura has like 6 arms. I think that's the one that has 6 arms. I might be wrong. If I remember right, there was a god called, is it the elephant one? Ganesha? They had like 4 arms as well. So yeah, he's got some Buddhist inspirations, but obviously I'm not knowledgeable on that sort of stuff. I wouldn't know. So, but like, I think his Overwatch 2 design is probably a bit better. I mean, he's wearing more clothes. I like the sort of, you know, I like this sort of neck piece, the sort of scarf in a sense. And the trousers have these really lovely looking patterns on them. The gold and whites, and like, they just look nice. I think his Overwatch 2 design looks a bit better. But again, I don't really know what to say more than that, because I don't know much. It looks nice. He's a robot monk. He's wearing pretty gold clothing. There is something to be said, of course, in colors. There is, obviously, his contemporary is Ramattra, and Ramatra's Overwatch 2 design has, you know, I say Overwatch 2 design, this is his only design, has a lot of similarities to Zenyatta. Again, it's 2 sides of a coin, right? So Zenyatta's Overwatch 2 design has lots of yellows, golds, whites, but a continued signifier of brown, and Ramattra is kind of a polar opposite, where he also shares the sort of beigey browns, the golds, and he obviously shares the white in his face, but the difference between the two of them is that Ramattra has purple on him, and Zenyatta has yellow on him. Those are the kind of showing that the two of them are connected, but are eternally different just through the single difference in color of purple to yellow. And it's worth noting, of course, that Harmony Orb is yellow and Discord Orb is purple. Again, another sign of duality. That's kind of a key thing with Zenyatta, which is duality. A lot of stuff that he says is, you know, Harmony and Discord kind of coming together, and I don't know. Duality is kind of an important thing for him, at least in gameplay terms, and I kind of wish that was kind of shown a little bit more through his design. Then again, his design mirrors Ramatra's, so there is the duality. You know, Harmony, Discord, Ramattra, Zenyatta, like, they are 2 sides of a coin per the video title. But yeah, his design is kind of hard to talk about because he is just Robot Monk, and I don't really have much more to say than that. But moving to his cosmetics, I will admit, I have always been kind of frustrated with his cosmetics, and I would like to start with that point by addressing his mythic. He did get mythic, and I think his mythic is the most nothing burger mythic we have ever gotten. Like, I don't know how to explain it. His mythic does absolutely nothing for me. Like, amongst the mythics, they usually kind of transform or enhance the quality of a character in some way, shape, or form. Genji is a cyborg ninja, so they turned him into a cyberpunk demon ninja. Yeah, sure. Junker Queen is a giant buff woman who runs an entire city in Junkertown, so they turned her into Zeus, the king of the gods. Yeah, sure. And so on and so forth. I mean, some of them are better than others, like Orissa's like, oh, you transformed the giant horse robot into a bug thing when she already had like multiple bug skins. Yeah. You turned the guy with the big hammer into Thor. Boring. But like, Zen's just doesn't do anything for me. Like, they turned him into, I believe this is a Chinese god. Pizhue, I think that's how you say that. So they turned him into, presumably, I think, a Chinese god of some kind. But like, this design just doesn't do anything for me. And most of it has to come from the fact they didn't do really anything interesting with his orbs. A lot of his skins do quite fun stuff with his orbs because they're, you know, a key part of his character trait. The best example, of course, is like the cultist skin by turning his orbs into like, you know, floating eyeballs. Or if we go to the takoyaki skin, they turned his orbs into takoyaki. That's a really fun idea. And again, we can continue forward with, say, Nutcracker turning his orbs into nuts. Fun. Fastball turning them into baseballs. Again, fun. Or Toybot turning them into like little Rubik's Cube sensory toy looking things. Fun. But his Mythic just kind of turns them into cup looking things. I don't know why they weren't coins. I know when he reloads in the skin, you see like a coin, like a Chinese coin in between his hands when he like claps his hands together. And you can see the coins here. I know they have some sort of significance. I don't remember exactly what, but they have some sort of significance. But here's the thing. If they wanted to do a Chinese-themed mythic skin for Zenyatta, why the shit did we not do yin and yang? Like, it's something to do with yin and yang. Zenyatta's whole thing is harmony and discord. His whole thing is duality, you know? Good and bad, right and wrong. Him and Ramattra are two sides of a coin, etc. So, although I said, you know, two sides of a coin, he's got coin influence, blah, blah, blah. But yin and yang is like the thing when people talk about good and bad. Oh, there's a yin and yang to every problem. The good and bad to every problem. Like, they could have done such a cool idea with a yin and yang themed skin. Maybe like, obviously they clearly wanted to do like a Halo thing. Have this be the yin and yang symbol. Have his design be like, kind of like split down the middle with white and blacks and then whites in blacks. Like, we could have something so cool with a yin and yang design, but instead we just kind of got like this, and it just doesn't do anything for me. I'm surprised they didn't even do, they didn't even do a color for this skin where it was black and white. They did like a pink and purple one and a blue and red one. Like, the yin and yang is right there. Why has he never gotten a skin that plays with the yin and yang idea? Like, that feels like a smash hit, home run, easy win. But they're not doing it. Like, if we go to his highlight intros, right? Harmony and Discord. Oh my god, yellow and purple. Can you imagine if you had a mythic skin and they changed the orbs to be like black and white in this intro? Because some of the mythics do, like, you know, change the highlight intros. I say that. The only ones I can actually ever think of are like Mercy. If you wear Mercy's highlight or skin, this highlight intro has like, I think it's like oh, I know the example. When you have the rescue run on and you have Mercy's mythic, a big explosion blows up in the background. Like, sometimes they had those kind of like neat little effects. But like, can you imagine if he had like a yin and yang mythic and like the bottom of his ultimate, his transcendence, had the yin and yang symbol in it? Like, it looks so obvious and they just didn't do it. And they've never done it. I'm just actually losing my mind. Why have they never done a yin and yang skin for him ever? Crazy. Just insane. I don't know why they've never even tried. Stupid. Either way, the majority of his skins are pretty good. I don't really have many qualms with them. I'm very fond of Takoyaki. I decided to buy it. I think this is a really funny idea. I like the idea that this could have been like one of Zen's odd jobs before the Omnic Crisis. I think that's quite a sweet idea. Royal Astronomer is fun because they gave him a beard. Good idea. He does have a few collab skins quite neatly. He has Dalsim from Street Fighter. Very good choice. There's no other, you know, really monks in the game, so he was a perfect fit for Dalsim. He also has the Thrall skin for is it World of Warcraft? I know nothing about World of Warcraft, so I can't really comment on how good an idea this was. And he also has Aang from Avatar: Last Airbender. Also, very, very fantastic choice. Damn near a perfect choice, actually. No one else really could have been Aang, at least in my opinion. Not that I've ever watched Avatar: Last Airbender, I must admit that, but still, I know of it. I've heard of it, seen stuff about it. It's kind of in pop culture per se. But yeah, he's got like, you know, pretty good skins. This is in the shop right now. This is a really lovely skin. His orbs in the skin look like edible. I don't know how to explain it. You know, like you see those weird like sort of candy, like those weird orbs. You ever see like gems? You know, like people like look at Orbeez, if any of you know what those are, and they kind of look edible. Like, you know they're not, but They look like you'd like bite into them. They have like a weird, like, I look at this and I think I'd probably bite into it. It'd be like really kind of crunchy in a way. I don't know how to explain it. They just look edible. Maybe that's my fat ass talking, but still. Yeah, he's got some decent skins. He does have a null sector skin, which is very cool. It's a very haunting idea that Ramattra turned his or used his friend, his brother in arms, as template for, null sector forces. That's a very haunting idea. I actually kind of wish they expanded upon that, or maybe included this in the story in some way. But yeah, he's got, a decent lineup of skins. The best ones are the ones where they actually play around with the orbs, like Nutcracker, turning them into nuts is a very funny idea. This one's always been a funny little thing for me, like turning them into little moving squids. Bit gross to look at, the way they kind of pulse and move, but still. And Clockwork is also a very lovely looking skin, but both of them are Overwatch League skins, so they're not usually readily available, shall we say. But yeah, I'm so caught up on the idea that they just didn't do Overwatch devs, if you are watching this in any way, shape, or form, any of you, I pray that we get a just yin and yang skin for Zenyatta sometime soon. Yes, I will be claiming ownership of getting this idea into the game if we ever do it. But yeah, anyways, video done for Zenyatta. I'm just gonna words. So this is actually Zenyatta's video done, dusted. But I do want to just talk about a little bit about the trailer that they released yesterday on the newest character that is coming to the game. So if you're not interested to hear my thoughts on that, I shall see you later. Thank you for watching the video up to this point. Hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Like, comment, and subscribe, all that lovely stuff. For those wondering, from now we've got Zenyatta done, all the supports are done. We are going to be moving on to DPS, and I'll be starting with Ashe, of course. But for those interested in my thoughts of La Lupa, aka the newest hero added to Overwatch, I am conflicted. On a story front, I think this character will be very, very interesting. She is, for those unaware, the child of Antonio, who was the dude in the Archives event mission Retribution, the guy that Reaper shot out the window. Great idea. Taking a character and a consequence of Overwatch's actions, and then kind of embodying them through, the daughter of that dead dude. Cool idea. She wants to destroy Talon in all manners. Great. Awesome. Don't like her design. I'm going to hold off on giving my criticisms too much until we see her in-game model, because I do, as I've said before in Wu Yang's video, I do think these cinematics, like the one you're seeing on screen, do kind of do these characters in an injustice. The character designs are very flat in these cutscenes or cinematics. There's no definition, detail on these characters' designs and stuff. If we go to Wu Yang's, right? Looking at Wu Yang in this cutscene, he looks different from how he does, in this cutscene, right? He looks quite lean, right? There's not much definition to his body. But then we go to his in-game base model and he is shredded. The six-pack here, shredded arms, etc. So, again, I will hold off my judgment on La Lupa, or the She-Wolf of Retribution, till we see her in-game model and see if we have muscles or not. But I don't really like her design. I think her color scheme is nice. The white, black, and red is a cool color scheme. Thumbs up from there. But obviously, we'll have to wait and see her for her in-game model to see if she has muscles or not. But I feel like she just looks very boring. Another conventionally attractive character. The three characters we've gotten this year are Freya, Wu Yang, and now La Lupa. And all of them are just kind of conventionally attractive. Wu Yang is conventionally attractive. He's very handsome, very fit, quite boring to look at. I did say that in his in his own video. I'll obviously talk about it more when we get to Freya, but again, she is very conventionally attractive, very boring to look at, all things considered, with no really standout features. And now La Lupa is following suit. Her facially and design-wise, she's very conventionally attractive, very boring to look at. She actually just looks like Junker Queen. Really, in terms of looks, she just looks like this Junker Queen skin. Where is it? Yeah. I think Junker Queen looks more like a gladiator than she does. She the La Lupa has her, her midsection showing, and she just has a very boring, attractive face. Why didn't she get some of the features from her dad? Her dad has kind of one of the, is it a Roman nose? Where the bridge of the nose is kind of further outwards. Why didn't she have that? Why didn't she have some scars or something? She's a gladiator. She fights in an arena against, as you saw in, you know, the La Lupa trailer against a giant mech. Like, her nose, like the bridge of her nose, I feel like should come out a little bit more. Maybe like have a scar across her eye or marks on her face. But no, she's just got like a perfectly defined face, perfectly pretty face. You know, she's got makeup on her eyes. Like, she's got like eyeshadow and stuff. Like she's fighting giant mechs. How do you not have like a scar or something? Or a missing arm? Like, she just looks like, I don't know, she just looks boring. Again, I will hold off my, you know, dedicated criticisms for her till she comes out, and I'll make a video on her when she releases, and I'll discuss her design, or when she has her hero trial, which I believe is this weekend, as of me making this video, of course, but like, not looking good on the design front, at least. And there has been rumors that she may be a DPS, and if she is, I'll be very upset, because that will mean we're probably not going to get a tank till season 24, because Unrun is probably, so Wu Yang's sister, is probably right around the corner, and I cannot see her being anything other than a DPS. I mean, she's a fire ninja. Like, she's using fire fans to hit people with flames. That doesn't sound very support or very tanky, does it? She's a skinny, like, Asian woman. She's not going to be a tank. I know D.Va is a tank, and she's a skinny Asian woman, but what does she have? A giant mech. So, yeah, if La Lupa is a DPS, I'll be really upset, because that means we will be going 10 seasons without a new tank, which is absurd. They just hate tanks, I actually think. Like, if we look at the mythics, the only mythic weapon skin in the game is Reinhardt's. And, I mean, I don't know, tanks get treated very weirdly. We went so long without an actual normal mythic skin as well. Like, we scroll down, like, we got Orissa's, which is, like, part of one of the worst mythics ever. Then it was support, DPS, DPS, DPS. Like, we went, how many seasons is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? Wait, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 until we got our next tank mythic, which is just insane. And admittedly, it's not looking very good right now, because, I mean, we've gotten support. Well, okay, no. Support, and then we got a tank, you know, fair, DPS, and support again. So hopefully, next one is going to be a tank. Cross my fingers. Because, you know, we've just gotten, in this season alone, a support and a DPS. So I feel like we should get a tank now. But, hey-ho, whatever. We'll find out. So yeah, La Lupa, I am skeptical of her release. We'll see how she turns out. But, again, thank you for listening to my ramble about La Lupa, if you did. This is now the actual proper end of the video. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed it up to this point. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, whether it's good morning, afternoon, evening, etc. And the next video will be on our first DPS of the roster, at least alphabetically, Ash.